So I was at work last night and I was thinking, Ben Kingsley was played a Jewish prisoner in World War II in the Schindler's List, and now he's playing a Nazi soldier in World War II in Operation Finale. It's like something out of the Twilight Zone. What's up, guys? Welcome to Movie Emporium's movie review of Operation Finale, the newest film directed by Chris Weitz and starring Oscar Isaac, Ben Kingsley, Melanie, Laurent, and a surprise turn by Nick Kroll, who you remember from The League. The story of Operation Finale is told through the eyes of Iranian Jewish secret agents who must travel to Argentina to basically capture a Nazi general retired in hiding character called Adolf Eichmann. And in order to do that, they have to go down in disguise. They have to plan their strategy out, and eventually bring him back to basically, as the story goes, he's going to end up being hanged and so on and so forth. This movie is fascinating in the sense of it's interesting to see how people will do anything to survive, but the people that are most effective, because there's a whole running thing about how these guys that are going on to capture Adolf Eichmann, played by Ben Kingsley, they basically have to, just be conspicuous. They can't be known, or the Nazi apologists will find out who they are. And there's a running thread of that too, where the Adolf Eichmann's character is under a pseudonym, but he goes to like Nazi rallies. He's there with a bunch of people that are terrible people, and so they capture him. They capture Adolf Eichmann, and the Oscar Isaac character kind of develops a relationship with Adolf Eichmann, and it creates a kind of interesting dynamic in that Adolf Eichmann was a terrible person. I mean, he was part of the architect of the final solution, which was the extermination of the Jewish population. About 6 million people died in that Holocaust. And Ben Kingsley tries to play him off like he's a sentimental guy, like he's the innocent guy, but he's a really terrible person. And I think he's trying to play into Oscar Isaac's head to kind of like let him go. But in the end, I think Adolf Eichmann kind of knows that is never going to work out. So I think this movie is pretty good. It's not the greatest movie in the world, but it's pretty decent. All the acting is amazing. Ben Kingsley as Adolf Eichmann is always, he's great. Oscar Isaac is always great, but he's really good in this as the main person in this group of secret agents. And then you got Melanie Laurent, who's playing the ex-girlfriend of Oscar Isaac's character. She's not in it that much. Like I was kind of disappointed by that. But the scenes she has with Oscar Isaac, it feels natural, it feels real. So it feels like they were a couple at one point. And, for a movie that's directed by Chris Weitz, who you might remember from American Pie, he wrote About a Boy. This is a different take on a movie that I've never seen him really do before. So it's interesting to see him play up the character of Adolf Eichmann, who is a sentimental character, which I don't know how you can be sentimental when you killed 6 million people, but they show flashbacks of Adolf Eichmann in this, with all these Jewish people in a pit, and it shows what happened. And then it goes into the story about what happens to Oscar Isaac's sister and all that good stuff. And it's very depressing. It's very hard to watch, but it's a type of movie that you realize is a fascinating story, because the Adolf Eichmann story, which I really didn't know much about until I've actually seen this movie, was a worldwide phenomenon. It was the first guy to really stand trial on TV, and he had all these people, all these Jewish prisoners, POWs, having statements, taking out statements, and so on and so forth. And it brings up a much more intense feel. I was talking, on the last news of the day about Schindler's List, how powerful that movie is, and just how deep and depressing and dark and just unreal this whole scenario ended up being. And this one guy who is frail, he's older, it's just interesting to see that in the end, these are people, and in the end, they do terrible things, and they should be convicted for it. And it's nice to see that this guy met justice like he was supposed to. And his son plays a big part in the movie. Once Adolf Eichmann's character is kidnapped, his son, who is kind of a romantic interest with Haley Lou Richardson's character, he tries to find his father, but in the end, you know how it plays out if you know the story. But the standout of this whole movie is Alexander Desplat's amazing score. During the credit scene, it has this like real interesting tempo and rhythm to it that kind of conveys to what's going on with the painting, and then you see lines of where all the camps and where all the atrocities happen. And I think he's an amazing composer, and it shows in this movie. It's very different score than what you would see for this kind of movie. It's not like a John Williams score for Schindler's List, that type of thing. But I just find this movie fascinating. Like I said, it's not the greatest movie in the world. The opening is kind of heavy-handed and not really well put together. And the ending's kind of climactic if you know what's going on. Me, I didn't, but I still felt it kind of wanting in a way. But Ben Kingsley is always able to shift and hold things up in an acting sense. And Oscar Isaac, is an amazing actor who doesn't get a lot of praise and should. So, I mean, I got to give the hats off to them. And Haley Lou Richardson, who's not in a lot, but she kind of plays a pivotal role. I thought her character was fascinating. I thought she put a little bit of depth into the character. And just the rest of the actors, I don't really know much about them, but a lot of, smaller parts that kind of lead into the group that were, the ones that captured Adolf Eichmann. So the movie's, like I said, it's definitely worth a watch. Just going into it knowing that some parts kind of falter, but it's not like the most worst thing in the world. At least it's not Slender Man. So, but that's it on Operation Finale. If you guys, have any interest in seeing it, comment below. Tell me what you think about it if you have seen it. As always, if you like what you see, remember to rate, subscribe, check us out on YouTube, Facebook, Audioboom, Twitter, all that good stuff. Like I said, join our Society of Movie Emporium. I want to know what you guys think. Is there anything that you find interesting about anything I've talked about ever, or is there anything I can improve on? All that good stuff. And as always, you can always email us at nlapola113@gmail.com. And with that, thank you so much, guys, and we'll see you later. Peace.